Sahih al-Bukhari Menstrual Periods. Sahih al-Bukhari, Menstrual Periods narrated Al-Qasim. Aisha said, "We set out with the sole intention of performing Hajj, and when we reached Sarif, a place 6 miles from Mecca, I got my menses. Allah's Messenger came to me while I was weeping. He said, 'What is the matter with you? Have you got your menses?' I replied, 'Yes.' He said, 'This is a thing which Allah has ordained for the daughters of Adam. So do what all the pilgrims do with the exception of the tawaf, circumambulation, round the Kaaba.'" Aisha added, "Allah's Messenger sacrificed cows on behalf of his wives." Sahih al-Bukhari 294 Reference 6 Hadith 1. Sahih al-Bukhari, Menstrual Periods narrated Aisha. "While in menses, I used to comb the hair of Allah's Messenger." Sahih al-Bukhari 295 Reference 6 Hadith 2. Sahih al-Bukhari, Menstrual Periods narrated Urwa. "A person asked me, 'Can a woman in menses serve me? And can a junub woman come close to me?' I replied, 'All this is easy for me. All of them can serve me, and there is no harm for any other person to do the same.'" Aisha told me that she used to comb the hair of Allah's Messenger while she was in her menses, and he was in itikaf, in the mosque. He would bring his head near her in her room and she would comb his hair, while she used to be in her menses. Sahih al-Bukhari 296 Reference 6 Hadith 3. Sahih al-Bukhari, Menstrual Periods narrated Aisha. "The Prophet used to lean on my lap and recite Quran while I was in menses." Sahih al-Bukhari 297 Reference 6 Hadith 4. Sahih al-Bukhari, Menstrual Periods narrated Salama. "While I was laying with the Prophet under a single woolen sheet, I got the menses. I slipped away and put on the clothes for menses. He said, 'Have you got nifas, menses?' I replied, 'Yes.' He then called me and made me lie with him under the same sheet." Sahih al-Bukhari 298 Reference 6 Hadith 5. Sahih al-Bukhari, Menstrual Periods narrated Aisha. "The Prophet and I used to take a bath from a single pot while we were junub. During the menses, he used to order me to put on an izar, dress worn below the waist, and used to fondle me. While in itikaf, he used to bring his head near me and I would wash it while I used to be in my periods, menses." Sahih al-Bukhari 299, 300, 301 Reference 6 Hadith 6. Sahih al-Bukhari, Menstrual Periods narrated Abdur Rahman bin al-Aswad sad face. On the authority of his father, Aisha said, "Whenever Allah's Messenger wanted to fondle any one of us during her periods, menses, he used to order her to put on an izar and start fondling her." Aisha added, "None of you could control his sexual desires as the Prophet could." Sahih al-Bukhari 302 Reference 6 Hadith 7. Sahih al-Bukhari, Menstrual Periods narrated Maimuna. Whenever Allah's Messenger wanted to fondle any of his wives during the periods, menses, he used to ask her to wear an izar. Sahih al-Bukhari 303 Reference 6 Hadith 8. Sahih al-Bukhari, Menstrual Periods narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Once Allah's Messenger went out to the Musalla to offer the prayer of Eid al-Adha or al-Fitr prayer. Then he passed by the women and said, "O women, give alms, as I have seen that the majority of the dwellers of hellfire were you, women." They asked, "Why is it so, O Allah's Messenger?" He replied, "You curse frequently and are ungrateful to your husbands. I have not seen anyone more deficient in intelligence and religion than you. A cautious sensible man could be led astray by some of you." The women asked, "O Allah's Messenger, What is deficient in our intelligence and religion? He said, Is not the evidence of 2 women equal to the witness of 1 man? They replied in the affirmative. He said, This is the deficiency in her intelligence. Isn't it true that a woman can neither pray nor fast during her menses? The women replied in the affirmative. He said, This is the deficiency in her religion. Sahih al-Bukhari 304 reference 6 Hadith 9. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha. We set out with the Prophet for Hajj, and when we reached Sahih I got my menses. When the Prophet came to me, I was weeping. He asked, Why are you weeping? I said, I wish if I had not performed Hajj this year. He asked, Maybe that you got your menses? I replied, Yes. He then said, This is the thing which Allah has ordained for all the daughters of Adam. So do what all the pilgrims do, except that you do not perform the tawaf round the Kaaba till you are clean. Sahih al-Bukhari 305 reference 6 Hadith 10. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha. Fatima bint Abi Hubaysh said to Allah's Messenger, O Allah's Messenger, I do not become clean from bleeding. Shall I give up my prayers? Allah's Messenger replied, No, because it is from a blood vessel and not the menses. So when the real menses begins, give up your prayers, and when the period, has finished, wash the blood off your body. Take a bath, and offer your prayers. Sahih al-Bukhari 306 reference 6 Hadith 11. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Asma bint Abi Bakr. A woman asked Allah's Messenger, O Allah's Messenger, what should we do if the blood of menses falls on our clothes? Allah's Messenger replied, If the blood of menses falls on the garment of any one of you, she must take hold of the blood spot, rub it, and wash it with water, and then pray with it. Sahih al-Bukhari 307 reference 6 Hadith 12. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha. Whenever any one of us got her menses, she, on becoming clean, used to take hold of the blood spot and rub the blood off her garment, and pour water over it and wash that portion thoroughly and sprinkle water over the rest of the garment. After that she would pray with it. Sahih al-Bukhari 308 reference 6 Hadith 13. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha. Once one of the wives of the Prophet did itikaf along with him, and she was getting bleeding in between her periods. She used to see the blood from her private parts, and she would perhaps put a dish under her for the blood. The sub-narrator Ikrimah added, Aisha once saw the liquid of safflower and said, It looks like what so and so used to have. Sahih al-Bukhari 309 reference 6 Hadith 14. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha. One of the wives of Allah's Messenger joined him in itikaf, and she noticed blood and yellowish discharge from her private parts, and put a dish under her when she prayed. Sahih al-Bukhari 310 reference 6 Hadith 15. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha. One of the mothers of the faithful believers, that is the wives of the Prophet, did itikaf while she was having bleeding in between her periods. Sahih al-Bukhari 311 reference 6 Hadith 16. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha. None of us had more than a single garment, and we used to have our menses while wearing it. Whenever it got soiled with blood of menses, we used to apply saliva to the blood spot and rub off the blood with our nails. Sahih al-Bukhari 312 reference 6 Hadith 17. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Atiyah. We were forbidden to mourn for a dead person for more than 3 days except in the case of a husband for whom mourning was allowed for 4 months and 10 days. During that time, we were not allowed to put kohl, antimony eye powder, in our eyes or to use perfumes or to put on colored clothes except a dress made of osir, a kind of Yemen cloth, very coarse and rough. We were allowed very light perfumes at the time of taking a bath after menses, and also we were forbidden to go with the funeral procession. Sahih al-Bukhari 313 reference 6 Hadith 18. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha. A woman asked the Prophet about the bath which is taken after finishing from the menses. The Prophet told her what to do and said, "Purify yourself with a piece of cloth scented with musk." The woman asked, "How shall I purify myself with it?" He said, "Subhanallah. Purify yourself with it." I pulled her to myself and said, "Rub the place soiled with blood with it." Sahih al-Bukhari 314 reference 6 Hadith 19. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha. An Ansari woman asked the Prophet how to take a bath after finishing from the menses. He replied, "Take a piece of cloth perfumed with musk and clean the private parts with it thrice." The Prophet felt shy and turned his face. So I pulled her to me and told her what the Prophet meant. Sahih al-Bukhari 315 reference 6 Hadith 20. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha. In the last Hajj of Allah's Messenger I assumed the ihram for Hajj along with Allah Apostle. I was one of those who intended to perform Hajj and Umrah, and did not take the hadi, animal for sacrifice, with me. I got my menses and was not clean till the night of Arafah. I said, "O Allah's Apostle, it is the night of the day of Arafat and I intended to perform the Hajj tamattu with Umrah." Allah's Messenger told me to undo my hair and comb it and to postpone the Umrah. I did the same and completed the Hajj. On the night of Al-Hasbah, that is place outside Mecca where the pilgrims go after finishing all the ceremonies of Hajj at Mina, he, the Prophet, ordered Abdur Rahman, Aisha's brother, to take me to At-Tan'im to assume the Ihram for Umrah in lieu of that of Hajj at Tamattu which I had intended to perform. Sahih al-Bukhari 316 reference 6 Hadith 21. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha. On the 1st of Dhul Hijjah we set out with the intention of performing Hajj. Allah's Messenger said, "Anyone who likes to assume the ihram for Umrah he can do so." Had I not brought the hadi with me, I would have assumed the ihram for Umrah. Some of us assumed the ihram for Umrah while the others assumed the ihram for Hajj. I was one of those who assumed the ihram for Umrah. I got menses and kept on menstruating until the day of Arafat and complained of that to the Prophet. He told me to postpone my Umrah, undo and comb my hair, and to assume the ihram of Hajj, and I did so. On the night of Hasbah, he sent my brother Abdur Rahman bin Abi Bakr with me to At-Tan'im, where I assumed the ihram for Umrah in lieu of the previous one. Hisham said, "For that Umrah, no hadi, fasting or alms were required." Sahih al-Bukhari 317 reference 6 Hadith 22. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Anas bin Malik. The Prophet said, "At every womb Allah appoints an angel who says, 'O Lord.' A drop of semen, 'O Lord.' A clot, 'O Lord.' A little lump of flesh. Then if Allah wishes to complete its creation, the angel asks, 'O Lord, will it be a male or female, a wretched or a blessed, and how much will his provision be? And what will his age be?' So all that is written while the child is still in the mother's womb." Sahih al-Bukhari 318 reference 6 Hadith 23. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Urwa. Aisha said, "We set out with the Prophet in his last Hajj. Some of us intended to perform Umrah while others Hajj. When we reached Mecca, Allah's Messenger said, 'Those who had assumed the Ihram for Umrah and had not brought the Hadi should finish his Ihram, and whoever had assumed the Ihram for Umrah and brought the Hadi should not finish the Ihram till he has slaughtered his Hadi, and whoever had assumed the Ihram for Hajj should complete his Hajj.'" Aisha further said, "I got my periods, menses, and kept on menstruating till the day of Arafat, and I had assumed the Ihram for Umrah only, tamattu. The Prophet ordered me to undo and comb my head hair and assume the Ihram for Hajj only and leave the Umrah. I did the same till I completed the Hajj. Then the Prophet sent Abdur Rahman bin Abi Bakr with me and ordered me to perform Umrah from Atan Im in lieu of the missed Umrah." Sahih al-Bukhari 319 Reference 6 Hadith 24. Sahih al-Bukhari. Menstrual periods narrated Aisha. Fatima bint Abi Hubaysh used to have bleeding in between the periods, so she asked the Prophet about it. He replied, "The bleeding is from a blood vessel and not the menses. So give up the prayers when the real menses begins, and when it has finished, take a bath and start praying." Sahih al-Bukhari 320 Reference 6 Hadith 25. Sahih al-Bukhari. Menstrual periods narrated Muadha. A woman asked Aisha, "Should I offer the prayers that which I did not offer because of menses?" Aisha said, "Are you from the Harora, a town in Iraq? We were with the Prophet and used to get our periods, but he never ordered us to offer them, the prayers missed during menses." Aisha perhaps said, "We did not offer them." Sahih al-Bukhari 321 Reference 6 Hadith 26. Sahih al-Bukhari. Menstrual periods narrated Zainab bint Abi Salama. Salama said, "I got my menses while I was lying with the Prophet under a woolen sheet. So I slipped away, took the clothes for menses and put them on. Allah's Messenger said, 'Have you got your menses?' I replied, 'Yes.' Then he called me and took me with him under the woolen sheet." Salama further said, "The Prophet used to kiss me while he was fasting. The Prophet and I used to take the bath of janaba from a single pot." Sahih al-Bukhari 322 Reference 6 Hadith 27. Sahih al-Bukhari. Menstrual periods narrated Salama. "While I was lying with the Prophet under a woolen sheet, I got my menses. I slipped away and put on the clothes for menses. The Prophet said, 'Have you got your menses?' I replied, 'Yes.' He called me and I slept with him under the woolen sheet." Sahih al-Bukhari 323 Reference 6 Hadith 28. Sahih al-Bukhari. Menstrual periods narrated Ayub. Hafsa said, "We used to forbid our young women to go out for the 2 prayers. A woman came and stayed at the palace of Bani Khalif, and she narrated about her sister whose husband took part in 12 holy battles along with the Prophet, and her sister was with her husband in 6 out of these 12. She, the woman's sister, said, 'We used to treat the wounded, look after the patients, and once I asked the Prophet, "Is there any harm for any of us to stay at home if she doesn't have a veil?" He said, "She should cover herself with the veil of her companion and should participate in the good deeds and in the religious gathering of the Muslims." When Atiyah came, I asked her whether she had heard it from the Prophet. She replied, "Yes, may my father be sacrificed for him, the Prophet." Whenever she mentioned the Prophet, she used to say, "May my father be sacrificed for him. I have heard the Prophet saying, 'The unmarried young virgins and the mature girl who stay often screamed.'" Sahih al-Bukhari 324 Reference 6 Hadith 29. Sahih al-Bukhari. menstrual periods, or the young unmarried virgins who often stay screened, and the menstruating women should come out and participate in the good deeds as well as the religious gathering of the faithful believers, but the menstruating women should keep away from the musalla, praying place. Hafsa asked Atiyah surprisingly, "Do you say the menstruating women?" She replied, "Doesn't a menstruating woman attend Arafat, Hajj, and such other deeds?" Sahih al-Bukhari 324 reference 6 Hadith 29. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha. Fatima bint Abi Hubaysh asked the Prophet, "I got persistent bleeding, in between the periods, and do not become clean. Shall I give up prayers?" He replied, "No, this is from a blood vessel. Give up the prayers only for the days on which you usually get the menses, and then take a bath and offer your prayers." Sahih al-Bukhari 325 reference 6 Hadith 30. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Atiyah. We never considered yellowish discharge as a thing of importance, as menses. Sahih al-Bukhari 326 reference 6 Hadith 31. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha sad face. The wife of the Prophet, Habiba, got bleeding in between the periods for 7 years. She asked Allah's Messenger about it. He ordered her to take a bath, after the termination of actual periods, and added that it was from a blood vessel. So she used to take a bath for every prayer. Sahih al-Bukhari 327 reference 6 Hadith 32. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha sad face. The wife of the Prophet, I told Allah's Messenger that Safiya bint Hayy had got her menses. He said, "She will probably delay us. Did she perform tawaf al-Ifadah with you?" We replied, "Yes." On that the Prophet told her to depart. Sahih al-Bukhari 328 reference 6 Hadith 33. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Ibn Abbas. A woman is allowed to leave, go back home, if she gets menses after tawaf al-Ifadah. Ibn Umar formerly used to say that she should not leave, but later on I heard him saying, she may leave, since Allah's Messenger gave them the permission to leave, after tawaf al-Ifadah. Sahih al-Bukhari 329, 330 reference 6 Hadith 34. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Aisha. The Prophet said to me, "Give up the prayer when your menses begin, and when it has finished, wash the blood off your body, take a bath, and start praying." Sahih al-Bukhari 331 reference 6 Hadith 35. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Samura bin Jundub. The Prophet offered the funeral prayer for the dead body of a woman who died during delivery, that is childbirth, and he stood by the middle of her body. Sahih al-Bukhari 332 reference 6 Hadith 36. Sahih al-Bukhari, menstrual periods narrated Maimuna sad face. The wife of the Prophet. During my menses, I never prayed, but used to sit on the mat beside the mosque of Allah's Messenger. He used to offer the prayer on his sheet, and in prostration some of his clothes used to touch me. Sahih al-Bukhari 333 reference 6 Hadith 37.